The first people were given two choices. You either take this yellow substance or you take this yellow substance. Or something like that. And uranium. They're both almost, when you look at it, it's almost the same. So the people chose the corn pollen. And never to be disturbed, never to be brought up. If you bring it to the top, it's going to cause devastation to the people. That's what we're going through.
Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah are states home to the Navajo Nation. In 1942, the first mines opened in Monument Valley. The last mine closed in 1986. However, more than 520 abandoned uranium mines now scatter the Navajo Nation. In 2005, a moratorium was in place banning future uranium mining operations within the Navajo Nation.
There was another company called Hydro Resource Incorporated, HRI, from South Texas. Their parent company is URI, Uranium Resource Incorporated. They do a lot of ISL mining and situ leach mining. It's even acknowledged by NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, that there has never been a successful ISL mining throughout the history of ISL mining where the mine has returned an aquifer back to its pre-mining condition. They're always left more highly contaminated than before. Not only does HRI eye in this place, but they've also looking at Crown Point. And for the town of Crown Point, they want to do this ISL mining right in the town of Crown Point's sole drinking aquifer, 2,000 feet below the surface. And with the history of ISL mining, that if God forbid, if it ever goes through, that the town is going to be a ghost town if they ever go in there and start doing what they want to do in there.
Proposed mining in the area is through a method called in situ uranium recovery. In situ recovery is an extraction method used to mine underground uranium by injecting solvents into uranium-rich rock layers and then pumping the dissolved uranium out. The company Hydro Resource Incorporated is currently seeking approval to conduct in situ mining near the towns of Crown Point and Church Rock, New Mexico.
Lake Atlejana Agins, Huzoni and the Quatas to Penak and the Caredo Atlejana. What Ashast it has totally only Hasan Zao 8 has to yes. Just 8 Anna, that's easy.
Little did we know that it was unsafe, that it would do something later to you in life. And a lot of people found it just good for like economics, to make money, not really knowing what they were doing to Mother Earth, damaging the water, the air, even the environment, the whole environment itself. And later we found out that, later in life I found out that it was unsafe because I worked there, being a single parent, I had to find a job, and that's where I worked, down in the mines alongside the miners, because whenever they did blasting of the mine area, we would be the first ones to go in there and check how high the grade is on this uranium. And little did I know that it might affect me. And back in 2006, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. And we think it's probably from that. So I've been having health problems just from the chemo, from the cancer. So
then a lot of people work here, and they said they all develop some sickness like cancer and stuff like that. When we go out somewhere, I think people came all over to work here and they got affected by it. And I've been living here since 1946. In fact, I was born just right here. And while we were growing up, back then we were kids, there's this place they call it now No Name Arroyo here. There used to be water running down from that mine up there. We used to all play in it. And then there's a little water hole down there. We'll go swimming there. We didn't know it was contaminated.
It wasn't until the early part of the 2000 decade that the extent of the contamination throughout this area was understood. This mine last produced uranium in 1982. And here we are 30 years later, and we're still figuring out how to clean it up.
On July 16th, 1979, the United Nuclear Corporation's Church Rock uranium mill tailing disposal pond breached its dam. Over 1,000 tons of solid radioactive mill waste and 93 million gallons of acidic radioactive tailings solution flowed into the Puerco River. The Puerco River is a tributary to the Little Colorado River, where its flow joins the main stem of the Colorado River. The Colorado River is utilized by 25 million people living in such cities as Phoenix, Tucson, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and San Diego.
The mine company left us with contaminated waste for the communities to deal with. No comprehensive health studies. People are dying in this area of one form of cancer or another. I'm experiencing a respiratory problem, and I contribute that to breathing in the dust.
Very similar situation in the mines where you had a lot of dust and you had a lot of diesel exhaust from the equipment that was underground, and the radon particles could also cling to that. So it got inhaled by the miners, deposited in the lungs, and there it's quite toxic. It causes lots of damage. It can either break cells and pass on with damage to the DNA. It can kill cells outright. And it can also not cause any damage to the cells. So, radiation has a mixture of possible effects, and obviously what we associate is the damage that either kills cells directly and leads to long-term damage in organs, or that leads to genetic damage that then gets passed on through generations.
You can compare these Western scientific understandings of the chemistry of this substance with these traditional teachings of what would be the consequences of bringing this out of the earth. And I think that, we've seen that. We have 520 examples on the Navajo Nation of abandoned mines that all have environmental problems. And throughout the United States, especially in the Western United States, they say that there's more than 10,000 abandoned uranium mines, and they all have these problems. Once it's taken out, it will always have some permanent, long-lasting effect on the surrounding land. And it's from one end of the globe to the next. That's been the history of uranium development. And we just happen to sit on some of it here in the Four Corners, where those effects have been manifest and have harmed generations of people.
Nope, there's no water. Yeah, from here. From here, see, this one's going empty too. And this is Box Springs. This goes all the way down to the canyon. I could smell the water last night. The muddy water. I made a lot of enemies, because I'm the first one that said that this water is no good. Don't drink it. From my own family. relatives. But they're all gone. Everybody's gone. There's problems with my children. I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my generation's gone. My generation's gone. They don't want to have. My daughter doesn't want to have babies because they're gonna come out deformed. So she says, "No, I'm not gonna have no kids. I'm not gonna be a grandma." But on Manali, my last one had twins, a boy and a girl, but they have heart problems too. I had tumors, big old tumors growing on me, which I wasn't aware of. And then till now, that was just like my neck, right down here, there's a long scar. And that tumor was removed, and that they cut most of my nerves, and that's why I can't. I'm not like I used to be anymore. And I was about 300, close to 300 pounds, and now look at, and I'm losing weight because they cut most of my esophagus off, and I have to eat hot, soft foods and twice a day. I'm not hungry at all. And there's a lot of depression. As you can see, all the rocks fell down and probably hiding a lot of things. They've been working trying to hide everything, but you could see it, with me.
The Box Springs well, near Black Falls, Arizona, is listed by US EPA as having an exceedance in uranium contamination based on the maximum contaminated drinking water standards. In 2004, the Navajo Nation EPA concluded that 30% of families were without access to drinking water. On the reservation, many domestic water haulers pay thousands of dollars, more than off-reservation communities, for drinking water. Many families haul from unregulated sources. These include livestock wells, community wells, springs, and windmills. Despite possible contamination, some water haulers rely on unregulated water sources.
They're all like this sometimes. Some places they look like this. This is a unregulated water source. We're mostly going to sample for heavy metal. Since the Navajo Nation lacks the infrastructure of those potable water, a lot of people rely on those unregulated water sources.
Water from these sources often contain bacteria, uranium, and other harmful chemicals. The use of unregulated water sources represents the greatest public health risk associated with drinking water.
We need science to get some answers, and then from there use the results to do policy work related to that. I know a lot of people are interested in nuclear power, and the Navajo Nation have quite a bit of uranium ore, so the younger generation or high school students and whatnot need to know the consequences of mining our natural resources, especially uranium mining.
In 2012, the Navajo Nation Council passed the Radioactive Material Transportation Act, allowing the nation to regulate uranium transportation. However, in 2013, the Resource and Development Committee passed a resolution for Uranium Resource Incorporated to receive right-of-way and surface mineral access rights to its site in Church Rock, New Mexico. Please voice your opposition against in situ ISL uranium mining. Contact your local council delegate.